Namaste, everyone. We'll just wait for 2 more minutes, and so that's a few more people who are about to join will join. Namaste, everyone, whoever has joined so far. I see Bipinji, Chandraji, DN Khurana, Hari Iyer, Chon Jones, Kumgupta ji, Neeraj ji, Rakesh ji, and Shankar ji. Namaste, everyone. Good morning to all of you who are joining from India. Good evening. Namaskar from the US. Namaste, Hari ji. So, Namaste, Pranav ji. So, we'll just wait for maybe a minute more. Let's see if, some more people are about to join us. And that would be good. Namaskar, Dr. Pillai.
Namaste, am I audible?
Yes, you are. So should we go ahead and start?
Or if you want to wait for a minute.
Yeah, just another minute and we can start. By the time I introduce you to the audience, and so we'll have some more people who will join us.
So, whenever.
I think it's 7:02 here in India, so it's good to start with, right? We can wait for others. So namaste, everyone. Welcome to the webinar today. And we will be hosting and hearing from Dr. Radhakrishna Pillai and Mr. Pranav Patel. So I'll just briefly introduce both of the faculties, and Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai has his PhD from University of Mumbai in philosophy. He trains leaders and aspirants from various fields, including corporate politics, academics, military, etc., and has done extensive research on Kautilya's Arthashastra. I'm sure all of us here are aware of the very famous book, and we do kind of want to always know more about it. He is the director at SPM Foundation and founder director of Atma Darshan Private Limited. It is a spiritual tourism company. And Chanakya Anvishiki Private Limited. It's a leadership training and mentoring institute. He has been appointed as the deputy director of Chanakya International Institute of Leadership Studies. It's an autonomous institute based in the University of Mumbai. And he has almost 25 years of working and business experience. He's a well-known leadership speaker, author, trainer, and personal mentor. written over 200 articles and papers for various magazines, newspapers, and journals, and has also hosted a radio show, Ask Chanakya, on Moksha channel of World Space Satellite Radio. He has represented India in various national and international conferences, including the World Philosophy Congress in Athens, Greece, Academy of Management in San Antonio, Texas, USA, etc. And he has also taught in Germany, Dubai, Muscat, Singapore, Indonesia, and UK. Welcome for the webinar, Dr. Pillai. And we will listen from you in a quick while. Mr. Pranav Patel, he is the director of the School of Ultimate Leadership. He is a passionate leadership developer. He brings extensive experience in leadership training, organizational development, research, finance, and people-centric solutions. He was the Senior Executive Officer for Strategic and Outreach at the Partha Ghosh Academy of Leadership at the Indian Institute of Technology, that's IIT Kharagpur, where he led dynamic initiatives to empower individuals to tackle complex changes with a focus on ethics, equity, and sustainability. He has held key leadership roles, and he's the founding CEO, director of Chanakya Aniveshiki Private Limited. And he's the director at the Chanakya Institute of Public Leadership. He holds a master's degree in leadership science and a postgraduate certificate in Kautilya Arthashastra from the University of Mumbai. He has lectured at institutions like the College of Defense Management, MIT School of Government, and the University of Mumbai. He also has corporate experience as an associate vice president at HSBC and Standard Chartered. He is a certified financial planner and is pursuing his CFA level 2. He has been recognized with excellence awards and an international fellowship in election campaign management for his work during the 2016 US presidential elections from the University of Akron. Welcome, Pranavji. That's impressive introduction, and glad to host both of you. So we are hosting Dr. Pillai and Mr. Pranav Patel to talk about Chanakya's economic wisdom in the modern workplace. How is the wisdom, the ancient wisdom, age-old wisdom, how it kind of works even today, how it is relevant to the modern workplace. And the strategies or what, I mean, it's like 2 millennia ago can eliminate current discussions around motivation, compensation, and ethical leadership. So, and the perfect time as we also mark the Labor Day. And welcome, Dr. Radhakrishna Pillai and Mr. Pranav Patel. Over to you. I'll not take much time. So please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Really an honor and a pleasure to be here once again on the Hindu University of America's webinar. We've been doing this regularly, and every time we try and bring out some aspects of Kautilya Arthashastra in the present day contextual reference as we speak. Today, as you rightly said, we've been marking 1st of September, which is the first Monday of September in the United States, been marked as the Labor Day in honor and respect of the labor movement which the United States had. And we would be today touching base upon the understanding of how India looks at this particular aspects and how the Indian philosophy, and in particular how Kautilya looks at this aspect of an organization or an industry, or in fact that I would say to an extent of the culture, the working culture which is there in the Indian context for that matter. Going into Kautilya Arthashastra, we would not be touching base today upon the basics in terms of what Kautilya is, who Chanakya is, who Arthashastra has been. I think now we have reached a level where most of our audiences and people around know about Kautilya, know about Chanakya. They actually have a background understanding. If not, someone who is attending it for the first time, I would request you to go onto the HUA website and look for our old webinars. They're all available there, and we have really gone into detail of exploring what Arthashastra and Kautilya's background is. We will get into specific and especially focusing this particular webinar on Labor Day as we are working on. So we focus on labor and leadership. You know, how does leadership from the Indian perspective look at I would say sevaka, you know, that's the word which is used as seva bhav as we talk of in the Indian context. We'll get into more detail and understand how different and how I would say divinized India has to this particular aspect of the prakriti, as we say, the nature which is there. Because this is a part when we look into Sapta Prakriti, towards the end of the program, we will touch base upon the Sapta Prakriti and see how we have divinized as a country. And just to start off the webinar with today, I would be getting into a little aspect of that, and I would will discuss it more in detail as we go ahead. All right. So today we're doing labor and leadership, Chanakya's economic wisdom in the modern workplace. That is where we're focusing upon. And this is one video which I want to show all of you. However, there is this clipping. I don't know how many of you remember this or have seen this a particular video which is there, an incident. This is from the day when the Kashi Vishwanath corridor was made, and Honorable Prime Minister was there for the inauguration. And this is a very symbolic, I would say, gesture which he made during that inauguration. And that's when I want to touch base upon and show how we as a country look at labor from that perspective. And this is a video. I'll show it to you and then probably we'll take it up for discussion. And here is a quick one for you.
कल पूरे देश में एक तस्वीर चर्चा का विषय बनी रही। पीएम मोदी ने प्रयागराज में सफाई कर्मचारियों के पैर धोए। देश के प्रधानमंत्री के ऐसे भाव शायद ही हिंदुस्तान में पहले कभी देखे गए। जी न्यूज ने उन सफाई कर्मचारियों से खास बातचीत भी की।
आज हम उन्हीं सिपाहियों से आपको मिलवाने जा रहे हैं। ये वो खास लोग हैं, वो कर्मयोगी हैं जिनके चरण प्रधानमंत्री ने भी धोए, इसलिए क्योंकि उन्होंने स्वच्छ संगम के सपने को साकार किया। प्यारेलाल जी, प्रधानमंत्री से मिले, प्रधानमंत्री ने तो आपके पैर धो लिए।
हाँ, मिले हम। प्रधानमंत्री हमारे पैर धुले। ऐसा मेला हमने बहुत किया, बड़े बड़े मेला किया। 35 रुपए मिलता था तब से कर रहे हैं। ऐसा मेला हम कभी नहीं देखा। पर हम जब मंत्री साहब आए हैं तो हमें यह था, वो थाली लगी थी कि हम मंत्री साहब का हमका पैर धुलना पड़ेगा, तो धुल देंगे तो बहुत अच्छा लगेगा हमें। तो जब मंत्री साहब आए हैं, कहा बताओ कैसे रहे। हम कहा सर बढ़िया है। स्वच्छ बगा बढ़िया है। मैं कहा हाँ बढ़िया है। तो अपना क्या किया, पानी लिया, हमारे पैर धोने। मैं कहा हमको धोना था, मंत्री साहब हमारे पैर धो रहे हैं।
ज्योति जी, आप भी मिली प्रधानमंत्री से? प्रधानमंत्री
जी
जी
मिले भी हैं, बात भी किए हैं हम।
और आपने भी सोच नहीं रखा होगा कि आपके पैर धोएंगे?
जी हम सोचे भी नहीं थे, और अचानक से हमारे साथ मतलब कि ऐसा व्यवहार हुआ है। पहली बार ऐसा हुआ है, तो हम लोग बहुत गर्व से मतलब अपने आप को फक्र महसूस कर रहे हैं।
हम तो देख रहे हैं, हम सपना देख रहे हैं। प्रधानमंत्री हमारे पैर धो रहे, चरण धो रहे हैं। बहुत अच्छा मंत्री है ये मंत्री एरिया में। हमें ये लगता है कि छुआछूत मिट जाएगी जब प्रधानमंत्री ने पैर धो लिए तो।
So that's the video which I wanted to put it across to all of you and give you an understanding of how the leader of the country looks at all the last man, the person last, as we talk about the labor, the people who really worked upon. And these are the people who are responsible for the Swachh Kumbh, as we talk of into the Kumbh Mela which happened. And these were the people who were there. There's sanitation workers and the respect which was given to them, that the hard work, the seva which you have done, with the seva bhav behind keeping things clean, neat and clean and hygienic. And that's when he goes back and washes their feet, touches their feet and gives them that gratitude of the work which is done. So labor has been divinized in our culture, which we look at from that perspective. In fact, when I was looking for this, I also found another one where you see him in this. Yeah, that was what I wanted to show and what I wanted to start this webinar. And the reason I brought up these two videos right here at the beginning is to show that, how much importance is given to every human life in our culture. And at the same time, whether it is someone who is a grassroots worker, and in fact, Prime Minister rightly uses the word, they're frontline warriors. These are people who are actually fighting, making things happen for us. And not only giving them the respect, but also divinizing this way of work which is done, and that is why we call it seva bhav in our culture. It's just not about someone working as a labor who is just there at your discretion. You ask someone to do the work, follow your orders, but at the same time, there is a feeling, there's a divine feeling behind getting work done and the accomplishment of work which they do in that context. In fact, in our culture, we have even gods related to that we look at. In fact, I'm going to put you the next is most of us would have seen this particular god's photograph around Lord Vishwakarma. He's the man whom we call as the god of architects, who built buildings and also work on things. In fact, not taking much time here, I would want Dr. Pillai to share thoughts further, because sir would like to hear you and learn from you in that manner as well.
Thank you, Pranav, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. So happy International Labor Day. And India, even in the modern times, has respected the labor community. And post-independence, whatever policies has been formed, even we have taken into consideration the ILO, International Labor Organization, and their frameworks to build our nation. So there have been a lot of movements in India also, ancient and modern. And from a Chanakya perspective, we'll be seeing today. But what is very important is that it is not just the last end of the prism, as they say, the bottom of the pyramid. It was always mainstream. I like to say that, the concept of labor is very different compared to what is there in the West, yet it is been inclusive. When you look at from the standpoint of leadership, the word that comes for a leader is unlike the management and the labor, it is Raja and Praja. Praja, Parjanyaha, that which grows along with the leader. So the ultimate test of leadership is to make sure that the last end of the society is also included. Today we talk about inclusivity in all organizations, so it was always there. Looking at the picture that is given in the screen, you will find that we have Lord Vishwakarma. For most of the people who have been in manufacturing in India or anything connected to grassroots work, he is like a god. In fact, he is called the architecture of gods. The lot of instances in Ramayana, Mahabharata, and the Puranas have reference of Vishwakarma. In fact, it is said that when Hanumanji went to Lanka and he burned the whole Lanka, Ravan actually called Vishwakarma and he told, okay, now I need to rebuild my Lanka, and he did it overnight. The same Lanka was replicated after being burned down. That was the skill and efficiency of Vishwakarma. His references are there in Mahabharata also, where he had created the Sabhas, Samitis, and a lot of other places of importance for leadership and a kingdom. Even today, in many industries, it's an holiday when It's a Vishwakarma day. They do the puja. And even in armed forces, looking at the army, navy, air force, or paramilitary, they do Ayuddha puja, the pujas of weapons. If you look at carefully the picture, you'll have the weapon of this particular lord very different. It has got scale, it is called compass. So these are all instruments that we use for engineering. My father being an engineer is to always tell that without the labor, the management is zero. He never used to tell the reverse. He never used to tell that, without the management, the labor is zero. He used to tell that without the labor, the management is zero. So it's always a respectful win-win situation. Of course, like in every culture, there has been some plus and minus. Yet, if you look at it from the Vedic days, what we call today labor actually has been part of the planning and policy of the total governance and the leadership of every particular kingdom and institute. So with that, I'll request all the participants to look at from an Indian standpoint, a Vedic standpoint, the labor also, as we are celebrating the International Labor Day. Thank you so much for getting us into the seminar. We'll proceed. Over to you, Pranav sir.
Thank you, sir. This is a great understanding of labor or people who work. And in our Shastra or Arthashastra in particular, when we look at the word which is used there is danda. Danda obviously is not the literal translation, I would say, would be labor from that perspective. This is a very modern day translation, or I would say bhasha antar, as you said, the bhasha ka antar. There is we lose the power behind the whole thing. But then, however, still looking at from that perspective, when we look at Arthashastra and when we look at the Sapta Prakriti, what Chanakya focuses upon is the Danda. Danda is basically the people who do the execution part. These are the people who make things happen. We'll touch base upon the Sapta Prakriti, and I'm sure most of you who are attending would have known Saptanga and understand Saptanga. If not, I would request you to please look at our previous videos. But then I would say when it comes to Saptanga, the elements which are there, and the one which we talk about the first is the Swami, obviously the person who is actually the one who is the leader there, who is giving the direction, the director or the person who is the chairman, who is actually giving the direction to the organization, is the person who has like a top-down view. That's the person, the leader has a top-down view. It's called Garuda Drishti. Garuda, the way a Garuda or the way the bird's eye view is there. The person is looking at from the top. We call it the top-down view in the modern management context. And the person is giving directions to the whole organization. He's saying that from here, we need to go in this direction. From here, we need to do this next. The Amartya, the second in command, or if you put it into the modern day context, this is the managerial team. These are the people who are the senior management, as we say. These are people who get things organized. They're not one, they're multiple, because there are multiple functions which come together. So there are multiple Amartyas who are there. But then these are all managers, they're people who manage. But then eventually comes in the Danda. These are the people who actually execute. These are the people who make things happen. And that's when we say these people have something called the Sarpa Drishti. What is Sarpa Drishti? And understand the importance of that. Sarpa Drishti is the myopic look which the person has. Sarpa, basically a snake. Snake usually, when we say we think of a snake, the snake doesn't walk, it crawls, right? It just crawls in a zigzag manner and goes to the place where it wants to go. But then when it's crawling, it is not missing out even a single inch of land. It is going step by step by step, inch by inch by inch by inch. And when we talk of Danda, who are the executors, these are the people who execute things by step by step by step. These are the people who work on SOPs. They have a standard operating procedure which needs to be spoke about, and also a local standard operating depending on where we are working or what we are working upon. But then, however, coming to the point is the importance of Sarpa Drishti, which is there, the myopic view, because the execution part has to be step by step by step, and that is why the Sarpa Drishti comes into picture. The leader is at the top giving that direction, but the execution, the real I would say reality in making which happens. I always say, planning and projects, reports, and everything can be made. We have consultants who makes us DPRs, detailed project reports, multiple things, presentations and everything happen. But the success of any endeavor lies in execution, right? Bringing it to reality, making it happen. And Danda, the team, are the people who make it happen. So that is what Arthashastra's understanding is. Arthashastra gives us, and Kautilya, in every Sapta Prakriti we talks of, gives us the qualities. And when it comes to Danda, I put it Danda as in the army, which consists of the team members here, right? Who these are the really ones who fight for you. These are the salesmen, the accountants, your driver, people working on the shop floor, the staff which is there, everyone who is executing is your team. This is the danda which we look at. And in that context, he gives us this sutra, which comes in book number 6, chapter number 1, sutra number 11, which focuses on quality of danda. What is it? What is that the quality that you should look at or should have in an ideal danda which is there? What it says, coming down directly from father and grandfather of the king. So basically, this is generational skills. In our shastras, when we look at, or in our Indian culture in particular, when we look at something as the jati, not in the present day context, going by the British way of looking at caste and creed and things, but I'm going by the original context. I would request people who have not to attend Kalyanji's a webinar to understand what I mean when I say the word jati, or not the caste, but it is jati. It's very different in both. These are people. Now, when the knowledge transfer happens in a family. In our older culture, when we used to see, so for example, if someone who is working as a stone worker will have his kids learn the art in the family, grow up in the family, grow in that surrounding, and have that particular art as a form which is there. It's been taught that particular art in the upbringing. Similarly, we in modern day context say doctors, usually kids becomes doctors, obviously lawyers, kids become lawyers, politicians become kids become politicians somehow. But what we look at is here, the reasoning behind that comes in is that the upbringing which is there, the knowledge transfer which is there, happens from the parents to the kids. And that is why we look at that generation of people. And even from Danda, here what we're talking of, one great example which we can also look at is how Akshardham temples were built by Pramukh Swami Maharaj. There were not many workers available to do those kind of stone carvings which is there. He says, if you don't have people, then go and look for people whose families were involved in that kind of, who had forefathers involved in that kind of businesses, because the DNA is already carrying that kind of an art. And now we have those shilpakaras, as we say, huge in demand, going across the world, making temples nowadays, who were there. But then they were the ones who lost the art, but we revived it. Generational wealth which we talk of, a generational knowledge which follows. So that's why Chanakya says Danda also, someone coming down directly from father and grandfather, ever strong, obedient, happy in keeping their sons and wife content, not averse to making a long sojourn, working for long hours, working on a longer period of work, which is this. Even and ever and everywhere invincible, endowed with the power of endurance, trained in fighting various kinds of battles. So they can do, these are the people who can do various kinds of arts and skills, which we talk about, like skills in handling various forms of weapons, ready to share in their woes and woes of the king, and consequently not falling foul with him, and purely composed of soldiers of Kshatriya caste, is the best army in that sense, which Chanakya talks of. But then there are qualities which he looks at. If I would just summarize the qualities from this big sutta, what he looks at is people who are obedient, so they are the ones who follow the orders which they, so they fall in line because we are executing things, not disappointing during marches. There are people who are available in the time of need of the execution work which we're looking at, able to put up with troubles, has fought many battles, has that experience, skilled in war and weapons, different kinds of tools which they can use, and no separate interests, so no side incomes. They're one who are focused on their work. So more or less, these are the qualities which Chanakya focuses upon in Arthashastra. Sir, a few thoughts from you on the qualities of the danda, and then we go into some other principles which Chanakya has shared.
So there is this very, I would say, informal joke in India that, domestic help is so important for especially working ladies. And we are still fortunate that you still get domestic help affordable in most cities in India. So the lady says, I may get another husband, but I may not get another domestic help. So who is more important for me? So if you look at the domestic help, such an important system and a part of the family, I would say part of the family, because without them, the whole system almost collapses. I see that in my house also. The day our domestic help doesn't come, my wife actually gets panicked. And the kind of experience that I have to go through. You husbands don't help us in the kitchen. You don't do this and you don't do that. So I understand the importance that it's very important to work yourself. No doubt about it. Because no work is big or small. So we have to be participative in every work. Yet it's very important to respect the help that we get also. I would request, there is a English movie. It's a Hollywood movie called Help, Help. I don't know if you've seen that. And that movie talks about how important the help is. So at one end, you look them as help, but they are also mainstream. I'll tell you a small instance that happens. Rather, I know about a community in Mumbai. So, Mumbai also has it's a part of the coastal belt. So, the place that I stay in Mumbai is a suburb, the last suburb of Mumbai called as Mulund. For those who are familiar with the geography of Mumbai, it's the last suburb and it's very close to the seaside. And here is a community that migrated from Gujarat 2 generations ago. 2 generations ago. And what do they do? Traditionally, they used to work in salt pans. Salt is a very important activity in both Gujarat and Maharashtra. So when they migrated, there were a lot of salt pans in this area of Mumbai, but they did not have the skill sets to do the manufacturing process of creating salt, or what we have salt pans. They have to bring in the water from the sea, let it dry, load it into the trucks, and the salt was carried. So 2 generations ago, the then government, especially I think that's the British government at that time, they took a group of farmers from villages who were actually settled in Gujarat, and they migrated hundreds of them to start what is the salt business, salt commissioner's office in Mumbai. So they were given some land. Now that generation is gone. Their children have gone, and their children's children are working there. And you'll be surprised the kind of a skill set. Today, they almost get close to 1,000 rupees a day just to keep the professions going on. So they were part of a very informal economy, but today you'll be surprised they're part of the formal economy. And for those who are following political, movements in Maharashtra, there was this movement of BJP versus Shiv Sena versus internal Shiv Sena. The whole the game that changed was actually because of the land that belonged to the salt workers. Now think about what is the relation that we have with a political change and something at the grassroots level, the salt pan workers. So in many countries, including USA, we see that, including UK, even in Australia, and many countries across the world, if there is something happening at the top, remember there is something happening at the grassroots level also. So yes, there are qualities that we see over here, but these qualities are ideal qualities for those people at the working level. But these are also qualities that can be developed. In fact, it is said that in the army, especially when you join the army as a soldier, these are essential qualities. If not, we will train you and have these qualities. Let's look at them a little bit again, as Pranav sir did it. Obedient. What is the point of having somebody who's continuously questioning and not doing the work? Obedience doesn't mean only blindly following orders, but understanding and doing it. Otherwise, run. You don't even know where to run. You keep running in the wrong direction. You have to be obedient with clarity. Not disappointed during marches. Now there's time to fight, but no, I'm disappointed. The same problem comes in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna Vishada is getting disappointed and says, I will not fight. And therefore, the training is given. and the philosophical counseling given by Krishna to Arjuna. Able to put up with troubles. It's not easy. When you're working, there will be troubles, but the quality that is developed by training is that able to put up with troubles. So many movies across the world about army training. They've been made tough internally and externally to manage troubles. These are all trainings given. Has fought many battles. The experienced have a major role to play in every army. Look at a sports team, a cricket, a rugby, a football, soccer, whichever game. The football team or a cricket team will have a mix of the seniors who are experienced and the juniors. Yeah, it's always a mix, and of course, you have different skill sets. Somebody bats well, somebody bowls well, etc. But the experienced people also have a major role to mentor the juniors in the team, skilled in war and weapons. They work with little bit of equipments, as we said, the tools and techniques, but if you don't know how to use it, therefore, companies across the world actually spend huge money in training people and making them skilled. In fact, in India, Skill India is a major initiative of the government. So make sure that you have some skill or the other. As they say in Hindi, hunar. You may not have anything, but you have one skill. It could be driving, it could be polishing a shoe, it could be hair cutting, weaving. One skill you have, you can survive anywhere. But if you don't have one skill, then even if you have money, you can't do anything. So it's important that training is given and no separate interests, no side commissions. It's not looking at only my big picture, my, I would say, benefits. It can't be selfish. It's for larger picture, for the country, for the organization, for the institution. Most of the countries across the world have what we call informally or formally a human resource department. In India, we had that HR department, HR ministry, in fact. They've changed the name now. In Singapore also it's there. A lot of countries have this. The idea is manpower planning. So what is the kind of population size we have? What are the jobs they need to get ready for? What are the education to be given, training to be given? What about the salaries? In fact, there is a concept called Minimum Wage Act also. So in most of the countries, all these are handled as a very important portfolio of the government, handled by a ministry or a department. So very, very important that Danda, your whole army cannot be complete and cannot be a winner till you have all these things in place. So look into it, maybe as an institution or an individual, we need to empower them and get empowered ourselves with Danda. Over to you, Pranav.
Thank you very much, sir. The very reason we at times say that, we shouldn't have the Manav Sansadhan and Vikas Mantralaya, we should have Manav Sampatti. Humans are not resources, humans are assets for the country. And in fact, we should call not human resource, but human asset ministry for that perspective, which we look at. Treat the human being as an asset of the country. Don't use them as resources. The way British way of looking at and that's why in modern day we have this debate going on of calling it as a Manav Sampatti rather than calling it Manav Sansadhan for that matter. Now, in talking about skills, which Dr. Pillai was saying, you should have some or the other skills. In fact, Chanakya, in one of the Chanakya Niti Sutra says that, the skills are the one which you can go in any country, any land you go to, your skills are the one which will give you the livelihood. And that's why you should have this one or the other skill, which is important. And from the training perspective, this is a sutra which he gives in Kautilya Arthashastra. He says training and discipline are acquired by accepting the authoritativeness of the teachers in the respective field. And training should be given to all the people who are working. Now, looking at from a modern day context, when we talk to startups or when we talk to companies which are really going into that path of I would say exponential growth or really looking at scaling up, that's when the most important part comes in, is the training of the people, the investment behind L&D, as we say. A lot of time people say, what is the ROI behind L&D? At times is not seen. but in a long term perspective, we are now having tools to measure the baseline and the, I would say, the end line of any training program which we do in terms of what the impact analysis is. But then what we are saying is that this aspect, this software aspect, which might not have a very left brain oriented mathematical calculation to give us in terms of an impact behind the ROIs, but then still is very, very, very important. The training of the individuals, the training of the danda, what kind of training and who should give the training. Chanakya says just not anyone. This is one funny thing which we find when we work with smaller companies or younger companies. I would say they would say, "Oh, we know what we are doing, and we will train our people. We don't want anyone else." But then, as Chanakya prescribes, you should have experts. You should have people who are experts in that particular field to come and give the training, who have the authoritativeness in that particular subjects to come and do the training for the people whom you are working with, and I would say training as your team. A very important sutra from that perspective. So, a few thoughts on training and whom should train in particular, as we look at from the Kautilyan angle.
Yeah. So, training, as Chanakya says, has to be with the best. Get trained by the best, best whatever is possible for you. And the more you get the best, it's always, beneficial. So let me tell you a story. There was a person and he was working in a town, and his son, who was a school going child, maybe around 12, 13 years old, actually used to learn flute. So he used to have a flute master or a flute teacher in that town, and used to go there every day, learn some basic tunes, and used to practice it. Now, this particular person actually shifted the town for better opportunities. He went from one town to another. And when he was working in the new place, he asked one of his new colleagues, "I'm new to this particular town and I want some help from you. Yeah, tell me what I can do." My son used to learn flute in the previous place that we used to stay, and I want him to continue learning flute under a good flute master in your town. I don't know much of people, so if you can introduce me or tell me where a good flute master is who can teach, maybe take some classes, tutorials for my son, I would be happy. They says, "Yeah, yeah, that's not a problem. I know a flute master. So go to this particular place. There is this particular house, and there is a great flute player who is also a great flute master and very well known in our town. He's also a performer who goes nationally and internationally. So it's a best option I would give to go for your son to go and continue learning the flute." So in that, with that information, in the evening he goes to that particular house. Outside the house, he sees a very funny board, and he says, "Anybody who wants to learn flute, they will be charged 500 rupees a month." But the second line is interesting. Anybody who has already learned flute and coming to continue learning flute from me will be charged 1,000 rupees. And this person is very surprised. Anybody who is new, for him, I'll be charging 500. For somebody who's already learned, I want to charge 1,000. So he goes inside and contacts the flute master and says, "But this looks strange because my son has already learned flute. You actually don't have to teach him basics. So you should be charging him less. Well, actually, you want to charge him more." And the flute master says, "You don't understand. You don't understand because he's already come with his whole head full and he's got certain understanding. For me, the first effort that to do, even before I start teaching him, is to undo what he already knows." The very famous story of, a full coffee cup and you keep pouring more coffee, there's no benefit. So experts know that it is not just teaching, but also undoing what they have already learned. So the experts have their own, way of teaching, and it's very subtle. It is unlike what we say, it's a textbook-based syllabus, and you have to complete the syllabus, take some exams, and then certify them. No, it is very highly customized also. In fact, whenever I go to education institutions, I remember just last week I was doing a training program for 50 management trainer professors of a university in Rajkot. Is telling, now the challenge is not getting students to learn IKS, Indian knowledge system, like what we are doing, Chanakya. The challenge is that the world is ready, but we don't have enough teachers. And I was training 50 management professors and telling them, please teach Chanakya. I mean, how much can myself and Pranav sir do? So in that, I was telling, a lot of complaints people have, the student teacher ratio. The student teacher ratio is very, very difficult to handle. 1 is to 60, 1 is to 70. In some places, I've seen 1 is to 100 also. One teacher, 100 students. So it's not possible to give attention to everyone. So there's a saying that, you have to customize it. So the lower the number, you can give personal attention. It is not true. It is not true. In fact, it is not the numbers, it is the experts who can handle numbers. I'll repeat, it's not the numbers, it's not 1 is to 50. And then if I had 5 students, I'll be more focused. It's actually what we call as mass customization. Remember this word, mass customization. Huge mass of 50 people still. It is highly customized. Everybody is personalized in spite of being a huge number. 2 examples I'll give you. One is what we call as joint family system. You remember joint family system? There are many people, yet the Dadima or the Dadaji used to know everybody individually. So even if you go to certain places, even today in many parts of the world and many places in India, you will find, there are like 20, 30 cousins who will land up for maybe a family function or an event or a wedding. But the head of the house, the woman will exactly know, okay, Raju likes more sweets and Tinku likes more spices. So they prepare for the everyone totally. Yet there is a mass customization. They say, okay, listen, why don't you add a little bit extra spice for Tinku? While this has to be sweetened. So when you serve it, I'll make it for 100 people, but she knows along with the mass, there is a customization. The other example of mass customization in our particular culture is when you listen to spiritual gurus. You must have seen in a lot of channels and you must have personally attended. A spiritual guru, he or she is speaking from the stage. They have thousands of people, sitting and attending what we call satsang. Yet everybody feels the guru is talking to me. So there are some examples that connects to you and you feel it is your story. So friends, experts know this because they are at a high level, but they come down to your level, teach you in basic, simple formulas with examples. They teach you in a very basic manner. Yet the idea is not to stay there, but lift you to a higher level of knowledge. So therefore, train your staff, your people with experts. Don't compromise on the quality of teaching when it comes to training. In fact, I remember there was a startup, then it's saying we don't have training budgets. And how can we get experts? Because experts are very costly. I saying, remember, I'll give you another formula. If you don't have budgets, you can still get experts. And I'll tell you, not only as per your budget, but also totally free. And I was very excited. How can I get the best experts free? I said, do one thing. Take a list. Sorry, take a piece of paper and make a list of retired people of your field. Retired people of your field, especially from the government. Believe me, retired people have their own challenges. They have so much wisdom, so much experience, and after retirement, nobody values them. And across the world, today, it's a problem of what we call the aging population. If you go to them, they will give you free advice without even charging. In fact, they'll be happy. Somebody is valuing me even today. So, friends, it is not whether you have the funds, but you have the will and the attitude of getting trained by nothing but the best. And if they're still busy, the videos are there today, podcasts are available, books are being written, they go to seminars. So find a way. reach the best, get trained by the best, and become the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, training, the most important part which you look at for the people, the danda, as we say. Now, going into just a second, let this pop up. All right. So yes, training is what sir was talking about. In fact, I just remembered one example which was there when Bill Gates was one asked, "You giving training to so many people, and what if they leave?" So he responded by saying, "The challenge is not if they leave. The challenge is what if I don't train them and they stay." So that's where the challenge comes in. So the training is important. You have to keep training your people regularly, and keep upgrading them into what's happening next, or what is important for the particular task which they need to be carrying out. Going into next one, another sutra which Chanakya focuses upon, and he talks of the danda as the force. And what the sutra says first, the king brings under his savvy his own people, party, as well as the party of the enemies, by the use of the treasury and the army. All right, and in modern day context, if I have to say, it is the muscle power and the money power, right? So there are these powers which we talk of, and Chanakya talks of three different powers, out of which one of them, which is there, the power of might, comes in with the people, the army. Right? These are the people who are having the enthusiasm to make things happen. At times, we find that the resources are not there. At times, we find that the availability of funds might not be there. But if you have the right kind of team, the right kind of people, the right kind of spirited, enthusiastic people behind that, at times things do go through. We make things happen because of the spirit of the team which is there, and that's what's most important. And that's when the muscle power or the people power, which we say, comes into picture. And this is sutra which rightly focuses upon that, where the aspect where Chanakya says, you might have the money, you can deal with people with the money which is there. You might be able to hire agencies, you might be able to hire right kind of managers which is there. But if you don't have that army, the team, the people to execute, then it becomes challenging. That's when it's very important to have the empower, which is the muscle power as well, in that context which we look at. Sir, some thoughts on this? Otherwise, there's just one more sutra which I would like to take before we wind up.
Yeah. So basically, money and people are interconnected. They're interconnected and they're also dependent on each other. If you want to get work done from people, you require money. You have to pay them wages, you have to pay them salaries. And so, money in your hand, still people you don't have. That's why many so called developed countries have economic strength, but they don't have people strength. So, they let migration happen. They invite people from other countries and pay them well so that they can work. But the other is also true. You have people but no money. That's also a problem. A lot of countries have mass population, but they don't have money to pay. Then you have to look at the economic model. The Chanakya word for this is Arthashakti, and we have definitely the people Shakti. The people are very, very important. Along with money, you require people. Along with people, you require money. One of the models that we use for training in corporates are basically, can you manage the triple P's? Very famous, nowadays measurable tool for company performance. Profits with planet and people. Triple P model, as we call it. So it is no more just about profit maximization. Of course, we require that. We require companies to create wealth, but only profit, no. But are people happy? Are people, sustainable in organization? And definitely, we also need to make sure the environment, the climate is taken care. So planet. So here we talk about how they are interdependent. For a strong army, you require a strong economy. And a strong economy requires a strong army. And both of them are required for the leader. The king brings under his sway, his own party, his own people, and the people on the other side of the enemies by the force, the use of the army, that is the force and the treasury. So manage these two and you will understand leadership better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So yes, the triple M which we talk of, the mind power, the money power, and the muscle power or the manpower, which is required. The manpower, the muscle power is one of the most important powers which the leader needs. Moving on to the next sutra, which where Chanakya focuses upon, and he talks about salaries and designations, because when we talk of labor, when we talk of teams, when we talk of the danda, there is a hierarchy which comes into picture. And what he says, from the capacity of doing work is the ability of the person judge. What can he do? How much can he do? Based upon that, you can judge how much work a person does. And in accordance with his ability, by suitably distributing ranks amongst ministers and assigning place, time, and work to them, he should appoint all the ministers. Now, how do we make those role clarity, as we say in today's context, which is there, right? In larger organizations, people don't have role clarity. Either everyone is doing everything, or you want people to have understanding of each other's work which is there. So two kind of challenges which we focus: either people are working too much in silos, uh, or we have people who are not clear about their roles. People who are working too much in silos, we need interdepartmental coordination. We need people to talk with each other. We want departments to talk to each other and understand what each other is doing and try and come. Whereas there are some organizations which faces challenges where everyone is doing everything, and then there's no role clarity, which is then Chanakya puts it very nicely in the sutra, where he says, so first of all, what work people can do based upon that, their capacity is the ability of the person which is there, and post that, when we look at in accordance with that ability, what we have to give them is to give them ranks, and ranks based on what? So the assignment in the place, time, and work, where they are working, when they are working, and what kind of work they are doing. So based on that, you give them the positions which is there, the ranks which are there. And that's how this comes into which. And the salaries and designations should be based upon the results they produce, the outcome which they produce. It is directly proportional. We today's time it is called cost to company. How much does an individual cost to the company? But at the same time, how much is the individual producing for the company as well? Is been looked after. So then this is where it's important to put value to that person who is working, value to the labor in that sense, or value to the danda who is really executing, making things happen, and what kind of value. This sutra gives us a real insight into that. Sir, some final thoughts on this, and then we also touch base upon Saptanga, because when we talking of danda from a labor perspective, then I would say not a labor but a higher labor perspective, because there's a divinity to it. Where does it come from? So we'll just reflect upon Saptanga post this also.
So this is what we call the eternal problem of every organization: how much to pay and how much to get work done. This eternal problem. So when we are looking at what is the market, I would say a position of the person, or what is the market price. So if you are hiring a CEO, or you're hiring a manager or a worker, what's important is to know how to decide the salary. This is where the answer comes in. And he says, from the capacity for doing the work is the ability of the person judged. So the same work can be done by two different people, and one can be more efficient. You pay him more. And in accordance with the ability, by suitably distributing ranks, you give designations and say, okay, you're a vice president, you're a president, or you're a senior manager, junior manager, and appointing ministers and assigning place and time, the work, and also work to them, we actually decide and make them work. So it's a very interesting thing. I'll stop here with the story, and then we'll go to the final slide of Saptanga. This is like three generations in one problem. Three generations in one problem. So there's a house in a metro city, and let's call it Mumbai for easy understanding, financial capital of India. So early in the morning, the wife was cooking, and suddenly she realized, in her kitchen, the sink had got clotted, it has got blocked. So the water was not going. And she was working in the kitchen, and now it was very important for her for the sink to flow so that, the food can be prepared and everything. And it's very early morning, busy. And suddenly she doesn't know what to do. She has lost the skill of cleaning up. The plumbing work she doesn't know to clean up the kitchen. She tries in her own little way, but doesn't work. She calls her husband and she says, okay, please, get some person who can come and do the cleaning work. So the husband calls up some number and he gets a person, a plumber, and he comes immediately in 5 minutes. It's like a doctor on call, emergency, SOS. He comes and clears that in 10 minutes. And her kitchen is back into action. And then comes a very important discussion. How much will you charge? Usually we ask the charges and then decide. But this was crisis. So he was asking how much? He said 500 rupees. So the lady panics. 500 rupees for a 5-minute job. I mean, that is like really costly. Okay, you do one thing, you take 100 rupees from me, and that's like good. Because in early morning, you have more work to do the whole day. Take 100 rupees. 500 rupees is too much. And in that house, the Dadima is there. So the Dadima is called and she's looking at the discussion. So how much did you say? 500 rupees. I used to do that myself. हम लोग हमारे घर पे करते थे kind of a thing. So Dadima said, how much 500 rupees? Actually, it is only worth 20 rupees. But please pay him 50 rupees. Because he has come, at least give him some respect. But 500 rupees is not the right thing to do. So in our times, it was 20 rupees. Now it is inflation, you give him 50 rupees. And this discussion is heating up. And the plumber says, no, nothing less than 500 rupees. Nothing less than 500 rupees. I think we have this company called Urban Clap. And I think some cities in India is very active. So these guys will come on call. And suddenly the young boy who's ready to go to college. Okay, so he's like the third generation. So he's getting ready to college and he sees this fight going on in kitchen. The person says 500 rupees, nothing less than that. And the lady says 100 rupees and the granny says 50 rupees. And the husband doesn't know what to do. He's ready to pay anything as long as he can get out to the office. And suddenly the boy comes and says, Mama, come here. Actually, you should not only pay him 500 rupees, but you should actually pay him 50 rupees extra also. What? Because 500 rupees is charges. But imagine he came in 5 minutes. Imagine if the kitchen was still having that problem. Do you think you'll be able to cook in time? He came. In fact, you should tip him. So it's not 500 versus 50, what you believe, 100, but actually you should tip him more. Now, same work, 3 generations, three different approaches. Tadima says, I could have done it myself. Mother says 100 rupees. And the boy says, no, he came on time. Imagine 5 minutes he was present. He made everything back into action in just 2 minutes. I think you should respect the skill that he has got. And I think you should not only give him 500 rupees, but thank him, take his number, and say next time also I'll call him and refer you to other people. Go back to the slide. Does it make sense? That right place and right time, and also the capacity and the ability, each word actually determines the importance of the danda or the people who are working. And Chanakya did respect that. More we will see in the future course also as we go ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. So yes, we are looking at valuing, and not just valuing in terms of money. I would say it's also the respect of the individual which needs to be valued from the perspective of Indian philosophy, which we are reflecting upon. Where does this come from? This is a part of the Saptanga which Chanakya talks of, and this is the Sapta Prakriti, as we say, the Sutra number 6.1.1. This is in fact the Sutra which we focus upon, the key Sutra for our programs as well. Swami Amatya Janapada, Durga Kosh Danda Mitrani, Prakriti Yaha, which focuses upon the king, minister, the country, the fortified city, the treasury, the army, and the ally are the constituent elements of the state. In fact, it says states because Arthashastra is a book on Rajaniti Shastra. But then if you look at the sutra, it says Prakriti Yaha, it's nature. It's called Sapta Prakriti. This is nature. There are 7 elements of nature which lies in. And the army was what we were talking upon. The others, we definitely we go in detailed discussion on them as well. But then going on to, once again, showing the Sapta Prakriti, which we discussed. Swami, as in the king, the leader. When we talk of the person who's heading the organization, we spoke of Garuda Drishti at the beginning of the session, the person at the top giving that top bird's eye view. the minister, the managers, people who make it happen. These are the people who are managing, strategizing, making things done there. Then the Janapada, as in the country, the market, the people whom we go to, people whom we serve, the seva is done to this for this people. To serving the country, serving the people of the country is the attitude of the king, the leader, and the army in that context. So the Janapada, and that's it. Durga, the fortified city, infrastructure, no more forts, no more fortified cities, but we talk of infrastructure in terms of roads, airports, ports, etc., etc. Water, electricity, all that we need. So it's infrastructure. Durga, which is focused upon kosher, the treasury, finance, account, money, all that we discuss. Economics comes in here. Danda, we took a glimpse of Danda today, where we focused upon the army, the team, from that perspective. Mitra, as in the ally, the friends, the consultants, people who are not a part of my organization, but they work with me in a win-win situation where they get benefit, I get benefit. We work together in a win-win situation, collaborate together. So those are allies, which is there. So the Mitra is what is there. So there is Saptanga, the 7 pillars which we talk of. This is what we focus upon, in fact, in also the program which we conduct. I'm going to take you guys through about the program with the host permission, so that we can just give an idea of what we are doing. So the program, the learning objective of the program, the course which we run is to have the people, the students who join in, who can be they are able to understand and learn the implementation of leadership principles, which we focus upon from Kautilyan perspective in the modern day context. How do we use those principles which are there in our shastras, especially Kautilya Arthashastra, which we focus upon, use it in present day contextual reference. Is a 12-week course which we do, starts from 12th of October, goes on till December 21st. Fall quarter is a batch. If you look at India time, Monday morning 7:30 to 9. If you're in the United States, it starts at 9 p.m. in the evening and ends at 10:30 p.m. The Eastern Standard Time is what we're talking of in this context. The format is we have 1 hour lecture, half an hour is discussion. On that, we do multiple things. We discuss not only the theory, not only the sutras, but we also look at modern day research papers. We look at case studies which we bring up and try and see how people are using it, and at the same time how we can also interpret these principles into practical application. And in fact, as a part of the program, towards the end, we not only have a small assessment in terms of MCQs, but we insist that all the participants who attend the program write down a small paper. And I'm not talking of a research paper, but at least a paper where they reflect upon the sutras and how can they use the sutras into their daily work life, personal life, professional life, societal life, which they live, and how these principles are useful to them. So that's what we make all the students write down. So that's the structure of our program. Who all should attend this? Senior executive managers working in corporates, to be leaders or who are already leaders in that sense, public sector leaders working on policy making, working on social sector, for that matter. These are the people who should attend. Academicians, scholars, anyone who wants to do research work on Kautilya Arthashastra in particular, those are the people. Business leaders, entrepreneurs, startup enthusiasts who are really wanting to set up an organization, build an organization, or running an organization already from that perspective. And obviously leadership consultants and coaches who are there, who want to integrate Indian knowledge systems principles into their coaching, their teaching, the consulting which they do. So these are the kind of people who should attend this program. Same thing, this is what we're doing. Dates 10, 12, October 12th to December 21st. The course fee is $300. Getting credit for people who are doing other Hindu study programs, whoever are doing masters or even graduation for that matter, will get 1.5 credit for this particular program which we are doing. There is some scholarships also available. So people who are from the greater Bharat continent or Girmitri countries or APEC countries will have different kind of scholarship. I think people from the greater Bharat subcontinent will have around 65%. Girmitri countries will have around 35% scholarship. But then there needs to be a case which needs to be made. You need to really write down to HUA. You can get in touch with HUA coordinators who can help you understand who are eligible for the scholarship and can get the scholarship. Some of Dr. Pillai's books here. So, I mean, that's the end of the course, but then I thought I'll just put on some books which we refer to as our guiding books which are there. So, Dr. Pillai's books here on your screen to view as well. So, that brings us towards the end, sir. Some last parting words from you, and then over to the host here.
So I would say that, we could only cover a little bit in this introductory seminar, but lifelong we are students of Chanakya. And my famous, I would say, request is that come as a student, but go out as a teacher. So there's lots to learn, but we are in an Indian Renaissance movement right now. What we call Indian knowledge systems is happening. The world requires India. India requires the world. It's all one family. But one strength of India always has been good teachers equipped with sufficient knowledge to go and teach. So we'll give you not only the knowledge that we have received from our teachers, but we also want you to become teachers. So come study Chanakya's leadership model, become a leader, and create more leaders. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pillai and Pranavji. It was great listening to you and all of you present here. Most welcome to join the course. We will share the recording. You can go through the recording again, and all the registration related questions can be directed to us at HUA info@hua.edu. You will also get our phone numbers. All the counselors' phone numbers will be in the email. So you can call them in case you have any questions. This will be a course that will benefit many people. Just a clarity that the credits earned by this course will be applicable to the certificate program in Hindu Studies. So you're most welcome to, and we'll share the links and everything else. And the HUA team will be here to help you in the entire process. Thank you so much for being here. Glad it was great hosting you, Dr. Pillai and Pranavji. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you, Namaskar.